Hey, you. Yeah, you. Welcome to the Malaka podcast.
Strip club. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a guy and you're just growing up and you're watching Saturday morning cartoons and playing with your favorite toys, and all of a sudden a certain thing happens. You hit puberty. And then you're like, you know what? I need something else to play with. And then you realize it's yourself. And then later on, you're like, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool to go to a place where there's tons of naked women and you could just go there and have a drink and just relax and nobody will bother you, and you get a lap dance, and you get very cheap food that doesn't taste as good, but you're like, hey, I'm here, I might as well just eat it. That's called a strip club. And according to Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, there's more. A strip club is a venue where strippers provide adult entertainment. Wow. Adult entertainment. Keep that in mind, because a lot of people, when they go to a strip club, they don't know how to act like an adult. It's almost like we've just been released in the wild and, we just don't know what to do with ourselves, Titties, boobs, wow, hooters, and sorry, we just go a little nuts. Predominantly in the form of a strip tease or other erotic dances. Strip clubs typically adopt a nightclub or bar style and can also adopt a theater or cabaret style. American style strip clubs began to appear outside North America after World War II, arriving in Asia in the late 1980s and Europe in 1978, where they compete against the local English and French styles of striptease and erotic performances. It's true. I mean, back in the day, they used to have things like a burlesque house. And a burlesque house is basically a whorehouse, but it could also provide entertainment and, rooms to get away from your wife. And, just, it was just a guy's club, It was just somewhere a guy could chill and, just, keep it on the down low. Nobody has to know. And just relax and, just do your own thing. But they don't exist anymore. At least I don't think they exist anymore. If they did, I wouldn't tell you. But at the same time, it's very hard to find those houses because, it's a different world and, too many people talking. And, I mean, who knows? There could be a burlesque house in your neighborhood right now. Just, waiting to serve you. But we'll keep that fantasy alive for another day. Anyways, as of 2005, the size of the global strip club industry was estimated to be US dollars 75 billion. In 2002, the size of a US strip club industry was estimated to be US dollars 3.1 billion, generating 19% of the total gross revenue in legal adult entertainment. SEC filings and state liquor control records available at that time indicate that there were at least 2,500 strip clubs in the United States. And since that time, the number of clubs in the US has grown. Profitably of strip clubs, as with other service-oriented businesses, is largely driven by location and customer spending habits. The better appointed a club is, in terms of quality of facilities, equipment, furniture, and other elements, the more likely customers are to encounter cover charges and fees for premium features such as VIP rooms. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to point out one of my favorite songs that came out in the 90s was a terrific song by one of the best comedians of all time, Chris Rock, featuring the late great Gerald Levert, called No Sex. Now, the song was just basically random jokes, but it's true. There is no sex in the champagne room. And if you actually believe that, you're stupid, because they just don't like to promote that shit. But you pay a couple extra bucks, things will happen. You just got to make sure it doesn't end up like that scene in the movie Go with Katie Holmes, when all the dudes are going to the strip club. And just, keep your hands to your side when getting a lap dance. But we're going to get into that a little bit later, Cornbread. Ain't nothing wrong with that. No sex in the champagne room, said no sex in the champagne. Okay, I'm sorry. Moving on. The popularity of a given club is an indicator of its quality, as is the word of mouth among customers who have visited a cross-section of clubs in different regions. The strip club as an outlet for salacious entertainment is a recurrent theme in popular culture. In some media, these clubs are portrayed primarily as gathering places of vice and ill repute. Clubs themselves and various aspects of the business are highlighted in these references. Top strip club lists in some media have demonstrated that US-style striptease is a global phenomenon, and that it has also become a culturally accepted form of entertainment, despite its scrutiny in legal circles and popular media. Popular internet sites for strip club enthusiasts also have lists calculated from the inputs of site visitors. The legal status of strip clubs has evolved over the course of time, with national and local laws becoming progressively more liberal on the issue around the world. Although some countries, such as Iceland, have implemented strict limits and bans, strip clubs are frequent targets of litigation around the world. And the sex industry, which includes strip clubs, is a hot button issue in popular culture and politics. Some clubs have been linked to organized crime. Now, I don't know anything about that, okay? Let's make that perfectly clear, okay? There is no mafia. The point is, there's nothing wrong with going somewhere and getting a simple dance and enjoying a good night out with the boys. And there's always just this big stigmata about, nudity and strip clubs. I mean, who cares? I mean, I've worked a couple clubs myself, a couple even bars. And I'll be honest with you, I've seen more tits there than I have a strip club. Now, people just go nuts. It's just a legal thing, that's all. When you go to a strip club, just make sure you act like a gentleman. Like I was saying before, a lap dance. Now, a lap dance, what is that? I don't have to go to Wikipedia to explain that. You sit down, you wait for a song. Hopefully the song is at least 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, you could pick a Rush song that lasts 22, 23 minutes. That's cheating, but whatever. I'm just saying, make sure it's a pretty lengthy song. Songs today, for some reason, are just getting shorter. I get it. You put them on YouTube, they get more plays. I get it. But you know what? That's hurting us at the strip club. So, when you make a strip club anthem, and we're going to get into that in a little bit as well, just make sure it's a good, decent song. And make sure you get your money's worth. Whether if it's 20, 25, 30 bucks a lap dance, I don't know how much it is. I'm just guessing. You sit there and you make sure you don't touch the dancers. Although I'm not going to lie to you guys, there's been times you sit there, maybe you pay a little extra, you get to touch her. Maybe you get to touch her thigh. Maybe even stroke her hair. Maybe even grab a boob or two. But you got to ask. It's like everything else. You have to ask ahead of time. I've gotten lap dances where you just sit there. Maybe there's a boob graze. You're like, hey, I didn't know. And she's like, hey, it's okay. It's cool. Just don't let it happen again. I'm like, hey, it's cool. I get it. I get it. You've had a couple drinks in you. Just relax. It's all good. Then you have other lap dances where you basically feel like a gynecologist with no hands. You just sit there and enjoy the tunnel vision. And, maybe you'll end it with a kiss. Maybe she'll introduce the nipple to your mouth. I don't know. Guys, I'm just saying what I've seen and I've heard. That's all. Okay? We're not at a Mally. We're just trying to have a good time. But at the same time, you have to respect the rules. And keep in mind, if you act up there, there's a big motherfucker or a couple big motherfuckers that are there that will make sure to remind you how to act. And believe me, they don't talk with their bodies. Well, I mean, they do, but just basically they're going to beat the shit out of you if you don't act right, okay? So just make sure you know what to do. That's all. Now, at this point, I've taught you what a strip club is, what's behind it, who's may or may not be backing the strip club, how to act when you get a dance, how to act when you get there. It's very simple. It's there to have a good time and provide a good source of entertainment. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, whatever floats your boat. It doesn't matter. It's all good. But there's always one thing you have to remember is that it doesn't matter how much money you bring to a strip club, you're not going to leave with it. It doesn't matter if you bring $100 or $1,000. Chances are you're not going to leave with that money. And they have ATMs there that overcharge, and they do that on purpose because you're not going to walk anywhere with a fucking boner to the local bank. There's no local banks open at 2 a.m. You got to use your head. Not the one in your pants, the one between your shoulders. Come on, guys. You just got to make sure that you set limits when you're there. You got to keep in mind that every half hour to an hour, you got to buy a drink. And it's not a cheap drink. It's not $5. It's going to be anywhere between $10 to $15 because they got to make back their money. They got to make sure that they get something in return. You're not just sitting there watching free titties for nothing. Doesn't matter if you're in the front row or back row, you're going to get charged the same. This isn't a baseball game. There are no strikeouts. Everybody wins. Everybody will see tits. It doesn't matter. But you have to keep in mind, set limits for yourself. Make sure you don't go home with all this glitter and perfume on you. That's one thing I can't stand in general is just glitter. I don't understand the point of glitter. Everybody thinks they're Tinkerbell from Hook or Peter Pan or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just stop wearing glitter. We get it. You want to shine, but that's no way to shine. Just go in there, just do what you got to do. That's it. Just please, we don't want to worry about this shit when we go home to our girlfriends or wives or women that we have on the side. We just don't want to worry about this. We really don't. We don't want to smell like, the certain part of a department store where you walk in and they just automatically spray you. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl. You want to try this? We don't want to worry about that shit. We really don't. We just want to go in there, have a good time, hopefully come out the same way we came in, dirty, and just not worry about more than we have to. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I I'm not going to lie to you. I've been to a couple strip clubs here and there in my life. And to be honest with you, I just read all these facts here. And yeah, strip clubs look like they're always going to make money. Why? Because of the obvious nudity. That's, I thought it was pretty obvious. But I mean, they must be suffering a little bit from just all this online nudity. I mean, today's society, we're just so bored. I mean, we're just going to sit at home and watch some videos and, take care of ourselves and just go to bed. Why should we spend more than we have to, or anything for that matter? Like I said, I mean, if you add up all the money you spend, if you go on a regular basis at a strip club, it's really not worth it. Now, I'm just talking from a poor man's point of view. If I had money, that'd be a completely different story. But at the same time, you got to keep that in mind. I mean, if you have, let's say, I don't know, $50 in your pocket, what's cheaper? Go a local bar or go to a strip club? I mean, that $50 will not last you a long time. We all know that. And, even if you go on a simple date with a woman, there's a good chance you will not get laid the first date, but that's not what it's about. It's about getting to know the person. So the whole point of the strip club is to just keep you in that fantasy mode, But at the same time, it will drain your pocket. A fantasy will become reality, but guess what? It'll cost you. And that's something I learned from a very young age. Now, at one point, I was younger. I was still in high school. Actually, at this point in high school, I should have been finished probably a couple years before that, but what are you going to do? I'm not the smartest man, It's called the Malaka podcast, not the Einstein one, but what are you going to do? But one day I was on a good old field trip to some makeup studio, and, the woman's like, hey, would you like to, become a mummy? I'm like, sure, why not? I'm bored. And I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't look like a mummy at all. And the best way I could describe how I looked was, you ever see the movie Face Off and the scene where Nicolas Cage wakes up and, he's out of his coma and he's just clapping at the video. He's still smoking a cigarette. And the doctor comes in and he's like, what do you want? And then you see the reflection of his face and it's just all red and flesh. Take one fucking guess. That's what I looked like. It looked pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but it looked nothing like a mummy. And the woman could see I was very disappointed. I mean, it looked cool, but still disappointed. I did not look like a mummy, And she looked like she was ready to cry. Maybe she changed jobs at this point. Oh my God, what have I been doing all this time? I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? The point is, I was feeling a little bit down. I was like, you know what? This is not why I came on this field trip today. And I washed it off. And my buddy even said, look, I'll take you to Taco Bell for free, but you got to keep the makeup on. I told him, go fuck yourself. I'm going to take the shit off before it eats my skin. I took it off. And then I'm like, okay, it's lunchtime. How can we make ourselves feel better? And what do? We look across the street. And what do we see? A strip club. And we're like, you know what? Let's go. And my buddy initiated the whole idea there. And we go there. And, like idiots, we stood in front of the strip club, for a little bit. And he started walking in. And then he walked out. Like he did kind of a fake. And I go, dude, like, don't be stupid. So I just walked right in there. He followed me right after. And of course, if you go to a strip club during the day, it is, I'm not going to say it's depressing, but it's pretty empty. I'm not going to lie. We went there. We got ourselves a table. There was, I think, one dancer, every half hour there. It was good enough for us, Like I said, it was a different time. I mean, you were able to get porn online, but at the same time, it was still the dawning age of the internet, sort of. And, you're a guy, you're in your teens, you're like, you know what, this is pretty cool. This is nice. We're, on the best field trip ever. And I think we were the only ones there. No, wait, that's not true. There was a guy in the back. He looked like Bill Gates. I mean, it might have been Bill Gates. Who knows? But yeah, you know. Of course, at the time I was broke, so I got like Diet Coke, which you know I think still cost me $7. That's fine, that's fine. And then my one buddy, you know, he decides to get a lap dance. I'm like, that's cool. I'll wait here and enjoy the show. And like I said, it was very empty, but it was fun. It was still fun. Like I said before. Still one of the best field trips, if not the best field trip I've ever been on. It's between that or the zoo, but yeah, this one I saw more nudity, I think. And what's funny is like my buddy got the lap dance. He came back. I was making an excuse with the other girl that wanted, you know, a lap dance from me. I was like, yeah, I got a girlfriend now. I didn't want to say I was broke, you know, because you don't want to come across as desperate in a strip club, God forbid. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm good. He comes back. He is like tearing at his pants for some reason. I don't know. He's like, oh man, I shouldn't have wore corduroys. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to ask what happened. We went to the store later on and we had to get some bleach. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, yeah. And then we went back and the field trip was not the same. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty downhill after that. So that's one of my first experiences of a strip club, and by golly, it was awesome. It really was, you know. And that's the great thing about a strip club is that you can go pretty much any time of the day and still have a good time. It's really nice. I enjoyed it a lot, and by golly, I would do it again. And a lot of people always badmouth strip clubs. I mean, you know, like I was saying before in Wikipedia here, you know, they're like, oh, you know, people see it as like this evil place, and shut the fuck up. I mean, like, how many music videos, you know, movies and TV shows, like, you know, put it in their shit, and yeah, it's just a part of the culture. That's it. There's nothing wrong. I don't know, North America, man, I don't know, they treat nudity like it's a fucking, you know, 11th sin, whatever. I mean, who cares? I mean, there's tits everywhere in the world. I don't know, like, I go to Greece, they got, you know, boobs in the commercials. Who cares? My one cousin, you know, one of his favorite movies, I don't even know what the movie was about. I don't know, it was about a bunch of guys and girls, and they ran some kind of wine vineyard or something, and then you know, and then at the ending, some shit happened. I don't know, and then you know, he's like, oh, here comes my favorite part, and they all just have this massive orgy in like the dirt, and I don't know, they don't give a fuck. Who cares? Like it's all over the place, you know. I assume they were giving lap dances after, whatever. Who cares? But it was just, it's a good time. There's nothing wrong with the human body. You know, just do what you got to do, you know. And women always get more of the shit for it. You know, they say, oh, you're selling your body. Yeah. Fuck off, selling your body. Who cares? Listen, if guys could do the same thing, we would. And they do. They have some kind of shit in Vegas. What's it called? The Thunder Down Under or something. It's a whole bunch of dudes. They go nuts, and Chippendales is still, you know, going there. It's a bunch of dudes who get naked. I mean, I grew up with Chippendale Rescue Rangers, whatever. But then you grow up and you're like, wow, okay, so guys can get paid for, you know, whipping out their dongs and treating it, you know, like a fucking helicopter shit and doing the propeller, whatever. I'm just saying, like, you know, who cares? If a guy can do that and get paid for it, it is probably the best life a guy can live. So take the actor Channing Tatum. Now, girls that are listening to this, you know, they already know who Channing Tatum is. He's done a bunch of movies. You know, I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I like him in whatever, all the 21 Jump Street movies. He's funny in that. You know, he seems like a good dude, you know. He's even gone on record and saying, I'm a functional alcoholic. You know, how many people can say that proudly? And yet, he's made an awesome career out of his acting and all that shit. But before he did all that, he was a stripper. That's right. he was a stripper. He did, a bunch of shit with, I don't know, some company, whatever. And, he would go to gigs and, I don't know what would happen. I mean, would he, give himself out? I don't know. I don't know. But he's living the life. He's getting paid to, just be himself, I guess. I mean, it is what it is, Some of us are born good looking. Some of us are me. It's just, it's just the way it works out. It's cool. And I'm not hating for that, but I'm saying like that, if you got it, use it. If it makes you money, why not do it? And then years later, the guy does the movie Magic Mike, whatever, which is a movie based on a whole bunch of male strippers and shit. And I heard like after he did the first one, he made like $60 million. Because he, produced it himself. It was, he was the guy behind it and all that. And I'm sure it's probably based on all of his experiences. I didn't see the movie because I don't have a vagina, but a lot of women like it, and there you go. That's it. So use what you got. Who cares? And then you have a woman like Demi Moore, who was one of my biggest crushes growing up. Yeah, I mean, she does, the movie Striptease, which again was critically panned, but I don't give a fuck. I loved it. I thought it was an excellent movie. I don't care. I'm going to go to the grave with that shit. It was a great movie. What did she say? That Burt Reynolds looked like the guy from F Troop with the white hair or whatever? Yeah. I mean, it was a cool movie. I liked it. Showgirls. Again, it bombed. Based on the whole dancing, and she started out at a strip club and all the bullshit she's got to put up with there. And again, the movie was panned, but I still think it was a great movie. It's actually a funny. This has nothing to do with strip clubs. I forgot if I said this story in a other podcast, but I don't know. There's like 12 people that listen to this shit, so I'm going to say it again. There was a point where we were in class one day, and we had to, it was like some health class, and we wanted to ask questions, but I guess at the time we're too shy, whatever. And they would take questions out of a hat, whatever, right? And and like it would just be, like we wouldn't say like who it is, right? And okay, this question, can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, whatever. And then the one question was, can you have sex in the water? Which I mean, like even at the time, I was like, yeah, of course you can have sex in the water. And he pulls out the question and asks it, and the teacher's like, yes. And then someone in the background goes, showgirls. I always like that story. I don't give a shit if you don't find it funny. It's one of those things you have to be there. But at the same time, this is all we had back then, okay? And again, like I said before, when you're a younger kid, growing up in the 90s, it wasn't like it is now. I'm sure, kids are just going nuts, with their phones. And, you get to learn what porn is at the age of 3. And, it wasn't like that back then, I mean, worst case scenario, if we come across a Victoria's Secret catalog, we grow up, we hide the shit under our beds, and, our moms are like, how come I didn't get the subscription this month? Like, what happened? I don't know. I got to complain to the mail, So this is all we had. But then we would dream of going to a strip club. And we went there a couple other times, me and my buddies. We went there one day after a Super Bowl, Again, I watch the Super Bowl every year. I'm not a big fan of football. I mean, whatever. It's not as exciting as hockey or basketball. Stop, go, stop, go. And sometimes it can be exciting. I'm just saying. I mean, this was by far the best part of the Super Bowl for me that year. And, we sat right in the front, which is a completely different experience, by the way. If you sit like right in the front row of a strip club, I mean, you're looking up. And before, when you're sitting in the back, I mean, women have always said that, if you look at a guy's face at a strip club, like we have the weirdest fucking face on, because it's one of those faces where we have to look like we're not turned on, but we are turned on at the same time. So we're constantly trying to like have this face, and either way, we look like a bunch of fucking perverts. If you're sitting in the front there, you got no choice. You are the biggest pervert, and we felt like biggest perverts. But at the same time, we were drunk. We didn't give a fuck. We were perverts. Who cares? We're just watching this shit. We're looking up like it's like we're sitting in the front row of a AMC theater, and we're just enjoying the show, you know. And again, it's like, wow, you know, this is, wow, just like that, huh? Awesome. So, you know, we always had a good time. And, you know, like, again, you go to a strip club and, like, there's just different girls there. Like, yeah, I mean, there's one girl that's dressed like a Catholic schoolgirl, another girl that's dressed in an actual dress, you know, trying to do the whole princess fantasy, another girl that's a little bit chubbier, you know, and she's like, hey, I don't give a fuck. And then there's another girl that's, you know, skinny as a twig, you know, like, hi, I'm just, you know, I'm just here, you know. And again, you gotta act like a gentleman. You know, my one buddy, I still can't believe he did this. He actually pulled in a woman with, like, you know, the whole fishing rod trick. You know, he actually pretended he was going fishing. One girl, I mean, I guess maybe she was into it, whatever. She, you know, like, you know, like, I don't know what he had at the imaginary hook there. I guess it was like a 20 or something. And then he just starts reeling her in, you know, like, and we were just laughing our asses off. I thought it was funny. You know, but at the same time, it's not funny because it is not cool, you know, to objectify women like this. It's not. See, that's where, you know, you go back and forth. You're like, okay, a strip club. This is, you know, you're meant to have fun, but then like, what's the line? You know what I mean? So like, it's always back and forth, man. I mean, you know, like, you don't want to look like an asshole, but at the same time, you got to respect women. But then when you're here, it's hard to respect women. You know, like when you got titties in your face, and it's all over the place, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how women do it. I really don't. Honestly, like, if you're a woman stripper, one thing I've learned is time is money. Okay. You know, like I said before, you know, there's only certain seconds, or maybe sometimes minutes if you're lucky, and every second counts. You know, the phrase time is money. I'm pretty sure that was invented at a strip club for female dancers, because, you know, if you don't dance during a song, you lost out on whatever, 20, $30, and, you know, you got to hustle, you know, and, it's insane. I mean, it really is. I've seen women like grab a guy and literally speed walk, you know, and you know, guys are just dragging behind, and, you know, because they got to make sure they're there at the start of the song. If it's a couple seconds late, you're screwed, whatever, you know, and time is money. It really is. So all I'm saying is, let's, you know, let's keep it classy. Let's keep in mind that they're there to make money as well. You got to work out some kind of balance there, you know, and things will be all right. Now, with the recent success of a woman like Cardi B, I mean, again, you know, she makes it well known she was a stripper, you know? And I think she said before she worked at a store or something, and someone told her about going to a strip club, you make more money there. And, you know, at first you're kind of like, whatever, you know, but she did it. Who cares? You know, again, if you got it, flaunt it. If you're comfortable with it, go ahead and do it. You know, she's not the first one to do it. I remember Eve did it, the rapper as well. Also the rapper Trina, she was a stripper as well, I was told. So, I mean, it doesn't matter, you know? Again, like I'm saying before, you know, I was talking about the Channing Tatum there, you know, before you played the sex slave in This Is the End, or There Will Be the End. I always forget the name of the Seth Rogen movie. I'm pretty sure it's This Is the End. That was an excellent movie, by the way. And when he played the Gimp there, and again, it was kind of like a male, weird kind of stripper thing going there. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know. Like, he apparently surprised Danny McBride in the trailer there, just jumped on him with the mask. I don't know. He was in full character, man. Again, he did his research. Again, he was a male stripper. He knew what to do. And again, he, you know, just wanted to make some money, and eventually it all worked out. And Sure, he was in a couple shitty movies, G.I. Joe, whatever. I'm just saying, you do what you got to do to survive. That's it. And as long as you're comfortable with, the nudity and the harassment, just, watch your back, you'll be fine. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Just, have fun with it. Now, me personally, I talked about my beautiful school trip that I had with my buddy there. I think he recently got married as a kid. I'm sure he's gonna enjoy hearing this one day. But anyways, also I also feel that when you go to a strip club, you got to set the tone. You got to be a good DJ. You got to be what Jamie Foxx was in the movie The Players Club, produced by Ice Cube, and another movie about the whole strip club industry and how Jamie Foxx, he just wanted more money. And what was Bernie Mac's character in that? Dollar Bill was fucking hilarious. Like the guy's got a poster of a $1 bill with his face on it in the back there. He's just motherfucker. You're just a DJ. Okay, you're lucky to get the salary. I don't know. It sounds more like Ronnie Dangerfield. But anyways, good movie. I liked it. So, you got to set the tone. You got to have good music. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, who knows more about strip club anthems than rappers? I mean, if you go to certain places in the States, especially Atlanta, like I've been to Atlanta, okay? Atlanta is fucking awesome. It's very, it almost reminds me of like cottage country. I mean, there's so many trees and it's just nice. It's just a nice atmosphere. I've literally never experienced heat waves. I talked about this before about the brilliant podcast that was done about air conditioning. I never saw heat waves, until I went to Atlanta, and it's insane. Like I can't imagine how how hot and the smell accumulates in an Atlanta strip club. But I've heard it's just a phenomenal experience. Just fat asses after fat asses. It's magical. I mean, if you watch the movie Hustle and Flow, that kind of gives you a good idea right there. I mean, literally, the roof is leaking. Okay. It is. I don't know if it's leaking from water outside or people's tears. I don't know, but it is. They don't give a shit. They put the pail there. People are still dancing right next to it. They don't give a fuck. Okay, like I said before, money is important. No, it's not what I said. Wait, what did I say before? Time is money. Thank you. Money is important too. It's not everything. Blah blah blah. Okay, but anyways. Let's look on BET.com here and let's check out some of the beautiful anthems. First one that pops up is P Poppin'. Okay, mention P. I mentioned this before. Ludacris is actually in the movie Hustle and Flow, so of course, good way to start it out. P. I'm assuming that stands for the obvious, pussy. And this video was made when BET had BET Uncut. BET Uncut was when they would show like all these like uncensored videos like after midnight, and I mean that was the true essence of BET. I don't like. I hear BET's owned by a white guy now. I don't know, which is fucky. If that's not irony, I don't know what is. But yeah, I mean this is a really good song. I always like this one. You got Uncle Luke here. I Want to Rock, Doo Doo Brown. Another classic. We got Big Sean featuring Nicki Minaj. Dance, brackets, ass in dollar signs, the remix. Big Sean said that he didn't even want this song to be on his album. Yeah, good move keeping it on, dude, because I'm pretty sure this is still your biggest hit to this day. And again, became a beautiful ass anthem. Yin Yang Twins featuring Little John and the East Side Boys when music in the rap game was crunk. I miss crunk a lot, man. I don't know, that shit always got you pumped up. You got Salt Shaker, great song. You got Juvenile, Back That Ass Up, classic. This is when Cash Money, late 90s, was just exploding, with Juvenile, Lil Wayne, Hot Boys, the Big Timers. Just, this song was everywhere. Girl, you look good. Why don't you back that ass up? That's all you had to say. Nowadays you get sued, but it was beautiful. Yin Yang Twins, Wait. I've never heard a rap song before this where a person just basically whispered the whole time. It was different. It was awesome. Something cool, something great to get your lap dance onto. 2 Chainz, I Love Them Strippers, featuring Nicki Minaj. I'm pretty sure to this day you cannot go to a strip club without hearing a 2 Chainz song anyway. So I'm sure he's going to play lots of these ones. Tyga, Rack City, Rack City, bitch. If you haven't heard this song, I don't know where you've been the last couple of years. French Montana, Pump That, featuring Lil Wayne and Rick Ross and Drake. It is, the song just speaks for itself. It's not talking about soda. Juicy J, bands that make a dance. Bands that make a dance. Enough said there. You get the song going, you make her dance. It's really that simple. Snoop Dogg, drop it like it's hot. Drop what? You guessed it. You. Rihanna, pour it up. Boom. Pour it up. Boom. Little John and the East Side Boys, Get Low. How low? How low can you go? Get low. Get low. To the window. I've never been to a strip club where I've actually seen windows, but that's how low they got. You got Mystical, Shake That Ass. Classic. Classic. That's all I got to say. Again, the name speaks for itself. That's what I love about these songs. Like most of these songs, it speaks for itself. That's all. Love Rants, Up, featuring 50 Cent. I never heard of this song. I'm sure 50 Cent's involved. It's got to be good. Lil Wayne, Lollipop. Yeah, you guessed what the Lollipop is about. T-Pain, I'm in love with a stripper. And that's another thing. You know what? T-Pain brings up a very good point here. When you go to a strip club, I'm not going to lie to you, I got a lap dance one time by this beautiful woman, very voluptuous, very tall, built like a brick house. I believe her nickname was a Tower of Power because her move was, her tits were so big, they literally would hug the strip pole and just, it would just disappear. It was, at the time, it was actually to this day, it's still pretty cool. But, you got to be careful. Don't fall in love with a stripper. They're there to work. They're not there to, find a date. They're there to make that money, So just keep that in mind. And I got the dance with her. I was even lucky. I got like one dance, and then I only had another 10. You're supposed to pay 20. I was like, can I just get a dance? She's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, that's cool. You're a nice person. Thank you for doing this. You're sweet. I even said to her, I was young, I was stupid. I'm like, what do I have to do to get with a girl like you? And she was just, like, well, yeah, you have to do a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So, you gotta not to try to not fall in that loop and just pretend you're there, she's there. Just enjoy for what it is, Yeah, that's what it's all about. Too Short, Blow the Whistle. Again, we all know what the whistle represents. R. Kelly, Feeling on Your Booty. Well, we all know what R. Kelly's about. We're not surprised at this point. There's still women out there that are, will dance to an R. Kelly song. They don't give a shit. It is what it is. He's part of the culture, man. I like, what are you gonna do, And you got Kia there, My Neck, My Back. In brackets, Lick It. Lick what? Yeah, you guessed it. Drake, I've actually never heard of this song. Hosta la ta Vegas. I've never heard of this song. But again, I'm assuming, yeah, again, you would not go to a strip club without hearing a Drake song, I don't know. I remember hearing a story one time. Drake went to a strip club, and he just threw out 50 grand. I'm assuming it's all in ones. And that's another thing. Like in Canada, like we don't have $1 bills. That again, that's where we're screwed. Like you can't like throw a loony and a toonie, like a piece of metal at a stripper. So you got to throw a five. So either way, you're like, if you go to a Canadian strip club, you are automatically going to pay at least 5 times as much. So you're screwed there. But in the States, you got $1 bills. And I've heard in certain places where, let's say if you bring in like, I don't know, a couple hundred, they will change it all to ones. They'll take a little percentage, of course, and then you just make it rain. You put it in one hand and you, just like that, just, send it flying. So why not? Who's the Vegas? Cool. You got Fat Joe, Make It Rain. What are you going to make it rain? What did I just say? What did I just say, folks? Featuring Lil Wayne. You got to make it rain them dollars. Okay? That's it. I make it rain. Waka Flocka Flame, Round of Applause, featuring Drake. Drake is all over this place. Yeah, again, Round of Applause. Now, as a white guy, let me try to explain what a round of applause means. When you go to a theater and, you get all dressed up and you're classy and you see a beautiful opera in front of you, you obviously clap. You give them a round of applause. That has nothing to do with a strip club. A round of applause, and this is quite phenomenal, to be honest with you. A woman has such a big, fat, round derriere that she can literally make it clap. And it is, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm Greek and Italian, so to me, this is like a work of art. You will see the gluteus maximus just bounce up and down. And like at one point, it'll, like the ass will clap on the back of her back and it'll sound like she's clapping. Like it's phenomenal. I mean, again, there's a quick little scene in Hustle and Flow where a woman does this in the back. Like, this is phenomenal. And she is very proud of it, as well she should. And that's what this song is about. At least that's what I'm assuming that's about. Cool. Gangster Boo, where them dollars at? Well, they're making it rain at the strip club, obviously. And again, Travis Porter, Make It Rain. We've made it rain so much we're running out of money. We need change. We need $1 bills. Like George Washington's coming back from a time machine, and he just needs a good lap dance. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there's a couple songs they missed here. I think the obvious one is My Pony by Genuine, which again was featured in a lot of things. Even when they did Orange is the New Black, which definitely, I mean, that show had its ups and downs, whatever. But there's a scene where the dude is stripping for the woman and he's playing that song. That song is like, what, the mid-90s. That's by far Genuine's biggest hit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to rag on the guy or nothing. He's come up with a couple good songs after that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, I mean, that song was huge. Huge. And people still give lap dances to that song. I was with a woman one time. She was lovely. And I was like, let's just, you got the heels here. Leave them here. We're going to act out some nice little lap dance thing. And she did. God bless her. I gave her a 20 after just to play along with the fantasy. That was one of the songs I picked out. I'm not going to tell the other two because that's none of your fucking business. But that's one of the songs that's always been a staple at a strip club. It doesn't matter, male, female, doesn't matter. It's that song is universal. And if you're going to give your special person a beautiful lap dance, I suggest you take a couple notes from Genuine and you just work it for her and you just ride in that pony. But I digress. Like I said before, there's lots of movies that mention strip clubs, and I've already mentioned them. I don't have to keep talking about movies. I mean, shows. It's all over the place. But one thing I do have to talk about is my actual experiences that I've gone through working at strip clubs. So I worked at one strip club one time, and I figured, you know what? Why not? give it a chance. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what the big deal is. I get paid to see women naked. Awesome. So I go in there for the interview, and it was a pretty basic interview. Although he did ask me a question. He goes, you know what? I like to ask everybody this. I'm just curious. If you could be one animal, like what would it be? And I'm like, a lion? And he's like, wow, okay, yeah, because it's a strong animal. I get it. Okay. All right, man, we'll call you and let you know if you get the job. Okay. So then, a couple days later, I guess he realized that, I had lion qualities, I guess, and he gave me the job, and he told me, okay, we'll start you off on Saturday, and can you get a white shirt before then? I said, are you going to pay for it? He said, no. I said, so no, I can't. So then I came in there with like kind of a old white, blue striped shirt I had, whatever, who gives a shit. And I go in there, and yeah, it was, it was pretty much what I expected. The lights were down. If you want something from the kitchen, everything's half off. I'm like strip club food. I'm good. I'm a big guy, but I'm not that desperate for food. So it was pretty chill. A couple bachelor parties. They behaved themselves. I actually ran into an old boss of mine. That was fun. It was like, hey man, you work here? I'm like, yeah, I paid more than your shit. Or at least I thought I did, but I'm gonna get to that in a bit. So it was almost like that Simpsons episode. Remember when Bart, was working at the burlesque house as a doorman, and Principal Skinner comes in there and Grandpa comes in there. It's like the whole fucking town's in there, but I'm just keeping it quiet, whatever. He was a bit of a dick, but whatever, who cares? It's strip club rules, if you see someone it's not really, you don't say shit, just keep it chill. So then at one point I was on the floor, some dude tried to come in, maybe it was a homeless dude, I don't know, maybe he didn't have any extra dollars to spend, maybe he caused shit there before. The one guy who interviewed me saw him, and it was funny the way he lured him out. Like he was like, he almost like lured him out like a dog, like, okay man, let me talk to you over here, come on boy, come on. I was like, dude, that's pretty condescending. I mean, it worked, but I mean, still, I don't know, it was all right. So then another point, I was working upstairs, and that was more fun because you could see way more women up there, and I ran into this one guy who worked there, and he was like a trucker during the week, and he worked there on the weekends. I mean, this guy was just clearly there just to see the tits. Like he did not give a shit about the job. I mean he did, but at the same time, like he just loved working there because he's on the road. If you're a trucker, you ain't seeing no titty. Unless you pick one up, and then I don't know, who knows? I've seen some unsolved mysteries. I don't know, whatever. The point is, he was just there to have fun, and I'm there, and my job was to keep track of all the girls that would come up in there for a lap dance. So guys would come and get lap dances, girls, it didn't matter, and of course a lot of these girls were not using their real names. This one girl, I don't know, she had a weird name like Missy or Misty or Ratisti or whatever, and it was funny. It was like this like really tall black chick, and like again, like I said before, like she was just like so fast on her feet because she knew like time is money, and she would just do the whole speed walk, like and like it got to a point where I would just like bug her about her name, but like she knew I knew. I'm like, what's her name again? Misty. Misty. What's her name again? Misty. And she's like just dragging the guy, getting a quick lap dance, whatever. And there was this dude who, like, we had a problem there. So I'm sitting down there. There's the stripper. There's kind of the manager. And then there's the one guy there who decided to take off his pants while he's getting a lap dance. And, she's like, you're supposed to be a gentleman. He's like, I was being a gentleman. And then, the manager's like, I don't know, you should know. I'm like, guys, just, in my head, I'm like, guys, everyone just shut the fuck up for a second. I go to the customer, I'm like, dude, if you've been here before, because I love people that say like they've been here somewhere, they know how to act, and then they don't know how to act. It's like clearly you don't know how to act. I'm like, dude, just act like a gentleman. You know what to do. Give her the money and just get the fuck out of here. Worry about this another day. We're not saying you're banned. Blah 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 blah. We'll deal with it another time. So I go through all that shit. It's cool. And then I found out I worked after that day. I got paid like nothing. Like for a Saturday night, working bar, club, whatever. I mean, you should get paid a good amount of money. I got like $12 an hour, man, and I was pissed. And they told me it was going to be more. I assumed it was going to be more. It was a whole fucking thing. And they're like, "Oh, we can give you 1 day a week, Wednesday." I'm like, go fuck yourself. So I don't need this shit. And then the other club I worked at, it was so weird because it ended up being in like some like neighborhood where, like, just picture like suburbia, and then all of a sudden in the middle of suburbia there's a strip club. And of course, like, people complained about it in the neighborhood all the time. There was the odd shooting there. And, it was the guy who gave me the interview, it was a Greek guy. I'm Greek, so I know how this is going to go down. The guy's literally eating a meal in front of me. As he's talking to me, food is flying out of his mouth. Like, one piece almost hit me. And then I'm working there. And again, it's like kind of a 5, 6, 7 o'clock during the day situation, whatever. And I'm working there. He's getting inspected by some inspectors. That's always a good sign. That's always something good to see on your first day of working somewhere. So then I work with this one guy who was an ex-football player. And this guy was huge. I mean, he was an older guy. Maybe had to be at least in his 50s, 60s, whatever. He was a big motherfucker. He had like those big like glasses, the square glasses. I mean, don't get me wrong, I used to wear those too. I mean, those things look like fucking windows. And you could tell he was just very defeated. I mean, at one point, he was just sitting there. He was just eating an ice cream bar he found in the back there. He's just like, he's got his hands on his knees there. And you just tell he did not want to be there. And at one point he told me, like, dude, just, if you find a better job, get the fuck out of here. Again, this is all on my first day, right? So, and then I'm walking around, there's not much to do, a couple dancers here and there. Then I come across this one guy, he looks like a big guy. He's behind this one table in charge of the VIP area, whatever, right? And we're just talking, whatever. He's like, yeah, man, I was a football player, basketball player. I've done jobs for basketball players and like I for comedians and stuff. He's like, yeah, man, and like my hand, I entered the Guinness World Record as the second biggest hand in the world. And he puts up his hand. I put my hand against his. He could have easily just crushed my hand into dust. And I didn't realize how big this guy was until like later on, because we were talking for about an hour, and then one guy came by. He's like, "Look, dude, you got to walk around." I didn't realize we were just shooting the shit. And then at one point, like he walked around, and this guy, I'm not gonna lie to you, like he went by me, and I remember looking up from left to right, and I went, "Holy shit!" And this guy was fucking huge, like 7'3", biggest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. Nicest guy though, really nice guy. Honestly, I'm not just saying that. And apparently we were at an audition together at one point. It was for a cleaning commercial, whatever. His group went in there first, and then I went in there after. The table was smashed, and it's funny because he brought that up. He goes, did you see how I smashed the table? I was like, that was you? He was like, yeah. So it was just a small world, man. So again, I'm looking around. I've only been there for like 2 hours, whatever. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't like this. And then I literally leaned over to the guy, the football player that told me, so you told me if I didn't like the job, I should just leave, right? He's like, yeah, man. And I literally just went in the back behind the bar, grabbed my knapsack, and the one girl goes, "Where are you going?" And I just walked out. The owner was there in front. I was like, goodbye. And like he just smiled at me. He says, "Okay, goodbye." And like I maybe he didn't give a shit. Maybe he didn't even know who I was. I don't know. The point is, it was just insane. So, overall, guys, just know how to act at a strip club. I mean, just know what you're getting yourselves into. I saw a girl like cry behind the scenes there and say they're mistreated. And when you see a stripper cry, me personally, I don't want to go there. I haven't been to a strip club since. I'm not saying that it's going to be sad or whatever, but just know what you're getting yourselves into. Be careful. Ladies, be careful when you're there. If you need help with something, please don't be afraid to ask security. And again, there's no sex in the champagne room, and just have fun at the strip club.